Hey fam, I want to come to you on today, which is November the 5th, 2024, Election Day here in Michigan. Just decided to take a break and to say to you guys, know that God Goddess is in control. It's a good time to realize that no matter what, we used to have a little saying when I was a little girl, winners never cheat and cheaters never win, right? But we know in the reality of what goes on in the earth realm that sometimes winners cheat and sometimes cheaters win. But know that God is in control regardless of what is what. And I was thinking about this little incident when I was married many, many years ago. It's been over 20-something years ago. But I used to work for a very racist hospital. And they had this practice of having those of us who had husbands that were black, our husbands had to wait out back for us when they came to pick us up. It was an unspoken thing, but that's just what the practice was. And one of the nurse, no, she wasn't a nurse. She was the chief doctor's administrative assistant. She would make her husband wait. I wouldn't. I would have my husband come in through the front with people who were visiting, and sometimes he would, because he was a tutor back then, he would talk to some of the young students who were in the hospital, who were interns or whatever, and they got mad and checked me and eventually fired me. They didn't use that as the reason, but that was part of the reason, and I knew it. And I'm gonna tell you something, the day I got fired, I got a big bouquet of flowers. They didn't know it, but it was my wedding anniversary. And he had sent me a big bouquet of flowers. And I remember the chief doctor coming in and saying, "Oh, so-and-so," I'm not going to give any names away, "you finally appreciating Sharice with the appreciation she deserves." And he turned almost purple because the chief doctor didn't know I had just got fired, right? But I laughed because inside of my soul, there was this joy about standing my ground and the way the divine family had worked it out, where all of the truth had happened. Like, I got a bouquet of flowers, which is what really should have happened from my so-called senior people, bosses or whatever. The chief doctor had to say what was true, even though he didn't know at the moment that I had been fired. And I ended up even having to fight for my unemployment at that time because I ended up being unemployed, and they didn't even want to approve that. But, I stood my ground about knowing that I did my best by that position, regardless of the stuff that we face as black people, as beautiful black people in this world. So anyway, there's this other saying I wanted to share. The reason I shared that story is because there's another saying I live by, and that is, sometimes when you win, you lose. And sometimes when you lose, you win. And that particular day, I lost my job, but I won my soul. I won my integrity. I won my husband in a greater way. I won my marriage, even though it didn't work out. It was a 16-year marriage, and it ended up breaking up in a very bad way. But I'll tell you what, it told me something about myself. And it lifted my energy just that much higher. It expanded me into a being that I love today and that I'm proud of. And so it's in times of turmoil that you get to see what you're made of. And so while we're in this very tumultuous election season, especially today, it's time to go within, and it's time to remember, a win is not always a win. But if you trust the God within, you will always win, even if it looks like a loss.